Good morning, traders. Welcome to our daily webinar. I said hour because right now I'm in the trading with my traders for the Asian session. They just finished one without me, and I'm starting one right now. So we're going to record this because it's going to be for live. It's going to be live in our group and it's going to go to YouTube. The recording will go to YouTube. To all YouTube viewers, um, just we've set up our trading room to go live every now and then on YouTube. So once in a while, maybe very randomly, starting this week, we would go live on YouTube while we were in the trading. The reason we did that is because there was a lot of questions from traders who follow me and watch the work I do. What happens in our trading room and what we do there, right? Because I think from a number of traders, requests to just join the trading room, not the learning as yet, and they can pay to join the trading room and then they will take the course later on. Some traders told me they're very good traders. They just want to be in a community. They can join my trading room, and well, we have answers to all of that. The answer is always no. You can't join my trading room unless you've completed our course because the way we trade in the trading room is a specific way we use the analysis we learn. And if you're in there and you will either not understand the way we analyze charts or you're going to complicate it with what you're doing, it's not going to work. So you have to learn our method, the way we do it, and then you have complimentary lifetime access to the trading room. It's absolutely free. None of the traders in the trading room are paying for that. Everything that happens there is free, and it's actually run by the traders themselves. Like you heard me said, the first session I wasn't even in there. They ran the first session without me, and there are a number of sessions that will go on without me. And I'll try to get in as often as I can. I try maximum to get in at least 3 or 4 times a day. So that's what we do there. What we do there is we go in, we look at trade setups, we take the trades. Then we manage trades that we are already in. You will have a preview this week, and I might continue that for a period of time, but then we wouldn't do it forever. Just to give you guys a preview of what we do. When I enter the trading, when I enter, I'll start it live and you will see what we do, how we analyze the charts, how we take the trades, and how we do everything. So it's going to be random. It's not scheduled. So you will have to set your notification to be notified when I get in the room. If you're one of my 23,000 subscribers and you would like to see that, please. If you're one of the new person watching this video for the first time, go watch some more of my videos, understand what I do, and then come back here. All right, so let's go. Let's start with dollar index. I was explaining to you the dollar index last week that there's a good chance that we might be starting the downside because we've got a very good run without any deep correction. But that doesn't mean they don't make corrections. They do make slightly bigger, not very deep. So this week, I think we will get a clue. Like I said, I've been telling you once this correction starts, we cannot claim it's an uptrend because we don't know that. It could just be a correction. Right now, it could still be a correction. And now I'm almost 95% sure it's a correction because of the depth to which this comes back. When it's not a correction, this would just correct at the top here and take off. When they come back so deep, even if they make a new high here, right? And this is how you recognize pattern. Even if this goes and make a new high, this whole piece becomes very corrective. So there's a rare chance of that going up. Not that it cannot go, it can go, but the chances of that happening has become very rare. So let me take 1 minute pause if you'll allow me here to answer a question in YouTube. And I think it's a constructive question. I like it. I accidentally said in one of my videos when I was showing a pattern. I think I was showing this one. Let me bring it up so you will understand where it's coming from. I was showing Amazon. Let me go to Amazon. Because I like constructive comments like that. I totally agree with him. My mistake. I should have clarified what I meant by it, and I did in his comments. I allowed comments like that to go. If you have constructive comments like that, you will see I welcome them. Let me just go to Amazon. Where's Amazon? Good, we got it. Thank you. Yeah. So I was looking at this pattern in Amazon. I was explaining that we had this for a while. These forecasts were not made yesterday or today or hindsight. They were made when we were here in the charts. And what I said, we know where this is going to go. I said, I know where it's going to go. I think that's a mistake. What I should have said is I know how these patterns behave because we have seen them 1,000 times before. We know for sure that these patterns behave a specific way 80 to 90% of the time. So when I said, I know it's going to come down, I should have said, I know that patterns like these actually come here before they take off to complete in a certain specific way. So thank you for that comment. I would be careful next time to say that I don't know what the market is going to do, but I know what patterns look like and I know how they behave. And that is amazing. That is what gives you an edge in the market. Now you can go back. If you're watching this for the first time, or if you've been following me for a while, but you haven't tracking this piece, I challenge you to go back and watch all my webinars that I did free, starting from this point. And that is somewhere in January. Not in April. I think it was somewhere in January when I started that, right? Watch it. Go back and you would see those arrows are exactly where they were, slightly different in terms of the slant of it. But they were exactly showing you the exact direction we expect the market to go. And why we can make such accurate forecasts, not only one dimension, not only, okay, this is going to go up or this is going to go down, or it could go up or it could go down. That's a guess. Anybody can do that. What we're saying is that we see this part of the pattern and we behave the second part of that pattern should do this. As a matter of fact, there was an up arrow which we took off. So you can actually go and see there's 1, 2, 3 so far, absolutely correct. And guess what? It looks like it's coming down. And then we will all see the upside. So if you can recognize these patterns, that's the whole point. If you can accurately recognize these patterns, you can accurately forecast all the moves in it. What are the chances you can take advantage of the big impulse coming? Let's assume you didn't do anything. Let's assume we didn't take a single trade even when it comes here. We're not selling this here, but it gets here and it turns to the upside and you have a buy setup. What are the chances this is going to happen? If 1, 2, 3, 4 were perfect, that's 80% out of 5. Five forecasts in a single piece, 4 accurate, 1. What do you think? It's not going to work? That was what I was explaining when I said, we know how these things behave. Not that we know what the market is going to do. I don't know the exact turning point. I don't have to guess the exact turning point. I have to look for a setup. This could have taken off like a rocket from here. But guess what? If you were buying this here from this point and it took off like a rocket, you'd be happy you're wrong. So if we get a sell setup here and we sell this and it drops lower than I think it should go, I'm okay with that. If it doesn't give me a sell setup and it doesn't go, well, that's okay. I just wouldn't be in the sell, and maybe I'll even get a buy setup. As a matter of fact, there are trades we took this week in the trading room that if you looked at last week's forecast, those weren't the trades we called. But we saw the change in direction in the patterns, and we said, okay, guys, we're buying now or we're selling now. That's different. And we do this on an hourly basis almost in the trading room, because charts could trade. The internal smaller patterns could complete themselves very fast and change the direction. And that's okay. That's part of what they do, as long as you can keep recognizing the patterns as they develop. And that's what wave analysis is about. It's not about accounting, about labeling, about guessing, about putting some lines on the chart. All of that is just to give you a clue. Those are nonsense. It's about recognizing the patterns. And once you see a pattern that you've seen before, you start to understand, how will this pattern behave? And can I take advantage of it? Maybe you see a pattern you recognize, but there's no trade setup. That happens to us. We're waiting for a setup to sell and then it drops without giving us a setup. We can't be in that trade. Or you see it, but you know that the risk to reward from where you have to put your stop to where the target is going to be is not worth it. You let it go there and then you look for where that should go. The next direction that should go. Is there a bit of better risk to reward in that trade? Then you said, great, I'll take the trade. I'll go with it. So it's not just seeing the patterns and guess, and as one guy said, guessing the directions, which is hard to guess forward 4 directions correctly in this piece of thing, especially when it's just sitting here. When hindsight, it looks easy. Hindsight, you can say, yeah, I could see those 2. Do it when it's here. Chop the chart to that level. Take any chart and try to do 4 forecasts in it and tell me if you do it correctly. Use any other method you can. If you can use any other method but wave analysis and do exactly this, that's amazing. You've found something magical. I don't know another method of analysis that does this. I simply don't know of it. Only wave analysis does this. So thank you for your comments. That is what I want to go. Let's go back to what we're doing. Dollar index, good. It's going up. Now, how far would this go? As far as I'm looking in terms of pattern, this piece can be completed. That piece can be considered complete. So if we see this becoming a corrective structure in here, a corrective pattern, a corrective flat or something like that, then my forecast will be that we're coming to tag the low, which is we are already there. We were just one step away from it, right? You just do this and you drop, that's it, and then look for the big move up. So let me put this back in the daily and tell you what I mean. Well, we're in the daily. What I've been showing you all along is that it's going to come and tag the low. And very often they do tag the low. Amazon just tagged the top. It took about 2 weeks of me saying, well, it's going to go tag the top. Eventually tag the top, right? And it's not because I'm just waiting 2 weeks for it to go, because we saw how it's developing within those 2 weeks. The same thing here. We cannot say this is an uptrend until we have confirmation. We cannot even say it's going to tag the low until we have confirmation. But the forecast is telling us most times these patterns will break the low before they go back up. That's it. That's why I keep saying, well, the high probability is going to tag the low. I even showed you 2 weeks or 3 weeks back. Watch this correction and drop. Watch this do this. I even measured it and show you the chance they can go that high and still come back here. Because why I did that? Some traders, some gurus out there were already saying, oh, this is already an uptrend. Look how it's going, amazing, right? And I was like, no, it's not an uptrend. You can't say that as yet. Well, I mean, it's not going up totally. It's just correctively going up. So now what is this piece going to do? Well, I don't know. 2 things it can do. It can make a flag here and go back up, continue to go for a while. I hardly believe it's going to take off to the top. I most likely think there's a high probability this comes back very low to about this level, go back up there, and then we'll sell. Can we buy this if it goes back up to this piece? Yes. Can we sell it from the top? Yes. Can we sell it downwards? If we're in the trading room and we have a very good setup for a sell with a good risk to reward, of course we can do it. So this is what I think is going to happen. We're going to make a corrective structure here, so maybe not about less than the 50% of this move, and we're going to drop. That's my forecast. Now that could change if I see this starts to behave differently, which means if we just get a small correction at the top here, of course we're buying. We're not going to be watching a perfect buy setup like that and don't take it. But as a forecast, I don't think that is what it's going to do, because this is a very strong move down. And when you see such a strong move down, you don't see that kind of behavior pattern. It's early to tell, because I'm just making a forecast on what I see and from my experience and what I know of patterns. It's hard to tell how this is going to behave exactly, because even by analysis, it could go this way, come back down. Well, not in a straight line. I doubt it's going to go that fast, because this is not corrective. Or it could even make a bigger pattern in here. Just go like this, come back here, make a new high, then fall. How long they can stay in here? Anybody's guess. It doesn't matter. That is an unimportant part of the analysis. So for today's sake, we'll be looking for a flat. Let's see if we get a flat there, and then downside. I really wanted to break the low, and there's a reason for that. Once you break that low and you turn to the upside, there's a magic in how you're going to trade. It becomes really, really easy to trade buys to the upside. Any buy setup is a good one. Let's go. Gold, we're still in the correction, and it's more and more. It's a correction. You can already see that. The more and more this stays there, the more you can see that will be a correction for upside. So we'll be looking for that big buy, but we're trading it up and down in this correction because it's easy to do, right? We traded up, we traded down, and now I saw this morning, but I didn't take the trade. I pulled that one. We had that one when we were making a flag here on Friday. We pulled that entry already. It broke the top. As a matter of fact, I think we could get a sell setup today. A repeat of this piece. Drop here. See, you got a sharp one, you get that, and you drop. You get a sharp one, you get this. You could probably drop one more. Maybe pull back to the top and continue this correction for a while. So we'll see. We'll see how this develops. We'll look at the pattern, and then we'll decide where we're going. It's going up. Most likely now, because of all the consolidation we're getting there, it's not going to drop. Silver, same thing. Right? 1 second, guys. I should have warned the general public. I do have a cold. So if I accidentally cough in this webinar, excuse me in advance, because I might not be able to mute my microphone in time if I cough or I sneeze. My apologies. Let's move on. I just told my traders in the trading, but I didn't tell the general public. So let's move on. This, I think, might come back to the top. There's a good chance that it's just the B part of it. There's a good chance this is the B part of it. And we drop one more. In terms of sell, if it breaks the low, we can give it a try for the sell. Not a very big move down. I would avoid the sell, and it will be careful if we take it. For the buy, if you get a little flag here, yes, you could probably watch it come break that top, but it's not going to break out because you have a very big flat here. So I think we're likely going to repeat this piece in here, make a bigger correction there, and then drop one more. We're going to still be in this here at least today and maybe tomorrow. And then we'll look for the breakout once we come back to the low. Euro. We were expecting Euro to make these sharp moves and continue, but then they drop, which is good. You're getting the same thing like the dollar index now. A correction. This was a very sharp move up. So I think what we're going to have most likely here is a bigger correction, something like this, for more upside. This is not an equivalent of this. So even if this makes a big correction in here, this would be a very big corrective structure for downside. I don't think we're expecting that. I think we're going for the upside to break that up. So if we get a flag here today, well, not a flag, a smaller correction, we'll look for sells. If this pulls up higher like this, we'll get a sell setup, but then we'll be looking for the buys, and the buys will be long term, which means you're looking for something like this across here and then the upside. That's most likely what I think we'll get, because this move is pretty sharp. It's a big one, so I don't think we're going down totally. Let's see if we get a buy setup here. It's making a small correction right now. I would not take this sell, although it's a small flag. Let the flag break, make a low, and then watch for the reversal to the upside. Either as a corrective structure, and it will likely be a corrective structure before you come back here and then the upside. So let's see if we get that. Pump. Pump was absolutely correct for the downside because we knew this was a correction on Friday. And if there was anything we were selling on Friday, I think it was the pump you can sell. Because we had this, we had that, and we knew we were going to get one more down. Be careful of this sell, because that's a corrective structure in this pattern, right? This was pretty easy. So you can probably see a drop here, but I don't think we're going to break that low. There's a rare chance that they could come this low, but most likely they're going to do this and we'll get a new high, which means 1, 2, 3. That is a simple pattern that should form. Can they consolidate more? Which means, can this come here, make another consolidation up there, drop again as a 1, 2, 3, and then do this? Yes, if we're making a bigger flat here, that is possible. If you get a very big flat in that area, that's downside, which means this becomes the absolute top. And I believe that will be a top. This will be the absolute top, because once you stay in this level of consolidation, if this doesn't go back up right now, but comes lower, and then consolidate here for a bigger one, make another 1, 2, 3 here, then go back there, that will be big downside. So while we are in this sideways range here, we will trade very small trades, take very small trades, get in, get out, until we see what it's going to do. If you get a buy setup, we will take it, because the chances are they will break this top, not go out of this, but break this top, and they can come back pretty high. If the pattern, if this impulse goes high enough like this, any downside would be a sell until you get that, because it depends on the depth in which it go back up. That will either be an up move or a down move. Now, if you're watching me for the first time and you heard me say all of that, you're like, what the heck is he talking about? I'm pretty sure if you're new and you don't understand wave analysis, that totally confuses you. I can guarantee you every one of my traders understand every part of what I just said, tracking it bit by bit. It will look difficult. Like, how do you know it's going to do that? Or how do you know it's going to do this? Because these are known patterns. What I just showed you there, these are known patterns. If you're watching this for the first time, and there are traders who watch my video for the first time, and they get confused within the first 10 seconds, and they say, okay, this is too difficult. It's not difficult. You just have to practice it. You have to understand what to look for. You have to know the patterns. And if you know that, everything I said just now made very good sense to you. You're pretty much going to follow every step of it. So if you find at any stage it's difficult for you, keep watching and go watch more of my videos. Eventually you will have an idea. You might not be very good at wave analysis. You might not be. So to do that, you better if you want to learn faster, join us. Take the trading course, join the trading room. You will have lifetime access to learn it. Guarantee you're going to learn it well. Aussie. Sideways. Like I said, most likely, I don't think Aussie is going up. Aussie is making a big correction in the side here. These two broke the top. We forecast that part. There were three possibilities here. I don't know if I showed you all three last week, but one of them played out, which is it came to the top. That means it's coming down back to this one. There's a likelihood we will drop beyond this level. We don't have to. We broke the top here, so it's a running flat, which means we can look for buy setups today. Is it going to give us a buy setup? I don't know, but if we get a buy setup, we'll take the trade. Even if they break the low, a buy setup would be a trade to the upside. Now, this might be, this might be a very simple flat, or it can turn out to be a much more complex one, which means they come here and they start to make a much bigger correction here, and then we repeat another 1, 2, 3 here, and then we go. If this becomes a more corrective part, this is what you're going to have. But if we get buy setups, we'll absolutely take it. And we will be looking for buy setups in Aussie, at least for one more impulse up. So you've got an impulse, you got a correction, you got an impulse, you get a bigger correction. You're expecting one more of that to the upside when that starts, which means an impulse, a correction, another impulse. That's the minimum you would expect, even if you're coming back down here. See how easy it becomes? Each piece will develop and form a bigger piece of the puzzle. So maybe we get a short sell here. I don't think we should be keen on that because we broke the top. What we should be looking for is most likely a buy setup. Even if this drops and break the low, that'll do that. But if this turns out to be a flag at the top there like this, that's the trade we're looking for. So let's see if we get that trade today. New Zealand finally broke. It did make a new high, which we expected New Zealand to do on this pattern. It was a simpler one. They were making simple patterns, high simple patterns. It wasn't very complex. And then they broke. So good. We might get a correction here. This is the first piece down. Now, I also don't think this is all the correction. This is the corrective part in relationship to this. I don't think that's all the correction, but New Zealand has the potential of falling very much more, which means very deep because of the daily divergence we have. So if we get sell setups here, we'll go for it. So let's see what we have on the 1 hour. It's not ready as yet. Don't go with that breakout. It's too small and it's too late for that. So let this consolidate here some more, go back up. And if we get something like this, maybe longer drawn out like this, that'd be a perfect sell setup. So hope that we get something like that, and then we'll go for a sell. I think most likely New Zealand will give us a sell rather than the buy. CAD. This would have been I don't know if any of my trader got this, but this was a nice trade to the upside. We picked in the 15 minutes, put an entry above the top here, and it did go. We had a few small trades in that, but nothing really go the way we expected to go. We got very small profit out of them, none for a loss, few break evens. And then it starts to do this. So CAD has the potential of breaking the low like the dollar index as well, and I think they may break it. We'll watch this piece because it's not making the impulsive move they made the last 3 times they had the up move, right? They broke the low. So this time they broke the low, the impulse up, the impulse up, the impulse up. We were trying to catch that impulse, but it didn't happen. It could still happen, which means we could still break the low again. I think they will break the low again. You can see that it's consolidating here. It's consolidating in a range there. They might go up a little more, but there's a chance they're going to drop. So we would look for this sell and hope that it drops to the bottom here. That's the hope, but it might just drop to this level and turn. Go back to the top and work its way down again. Right? That possibility exists. So today I think there's a good chance you'll go up a little more. You have to get back to this top. That's the impulse. This is the corrective one. You're trying to go there. There's a trade to the upside there. And then we'll look for a sell because that would be just a regular flat. Can this actually take off? It can. We haven't broken the low. I think they did that once. If I can go back and check all of them. All the up moves, very sharp up moves. That will take a while. I'm not going to do that here. In the trading room, we'll do it. You guys can start doing that in the trading room. Check all the turning points. I think one of them came back very low before they take off. So this is a buy setup, and we should not miss it. Don't miss the buy setups. Watch it to come back slightly here. Maybe it wouldn't. Put an entry order. Go for this piece. Go for this stop and put it to break even. Because I think once we had that where they came back very deep, didn't break the low, and then took off with that sharp move. If my memory doesn't fail me, that happened once. So we'll check all the sharp pullbacks. But this is a buy setup. Go for it. Treat it as if it's going to give you the C wave up here for a flat. 1, 2, 3. We'll go with the assumption that it's a flat first. You guys should get this on. That is going to be a flat, put it to break even. And then let's see if it takes off because we didn't break the low. Swiss Swiss is making a very, very big one. I don't see the turning point here because this is not just very deep. This actually tagged the low, right? If we take this as the first impulse up, which is the lowest point, as the first impulse up, because this was more of a correction. Now, this one tagged the low more than once. So I don't think this is going to be the takeoff.
Families separated by the Trump administration.
1 second.
Here was the president earlier this week speaking with my colleague Craig Melvin about the
That's my side. My laptop just went idle and started playing suddenly. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. Yeah. So watch this. I don't think this one is going to take off as yet because it might just be a bigger correction in the making. We'll keep an eye on it. You'll see there's no buy setup in it. If it pulls back, make a correction, we'll buy. But if they're going to drop, we'll definitely sell it because there's potential to the downside here. Now, they can make a bigger correction before they go. We anticipated a bigger correction once we started to see this, but we had this as a bigger correction. So I don't think this would be making a bigger correction. We'll just wait and see. If this pulls back to this level here, we'll buy because that would be a flat. We'll buy and then we'll see which one of these is low. I think this one is the lowest. We'll look back at it. Maybe it's making a bigger correction. That's all. And eventually it can, make a big correction, something like this here, and then drop. So we could end up with that. Right now, don't buy this. It has to pull back. This piece has to pull back for us for a running flat pattern before we get the trade. So if it pulls back, we could go for a running flat buy. Yen is going up. It turned. Now the question is whether this is all a correction. That's the question. We still haven't broken that. The last time, remember, we said we haven't broken that top. And by not breaking the top, it leaves a number of options open, whether this is a contracting flat, we're going to make a new low, whether this is some kind of a different pattern. This piece is very, very, very complex. And there are a number of variations of how you can put the patterns to see whether this was the low or not. This might not be the low, which means if this is not the low, then we have a much more complex pattern developing in it. And if we get a much more complex pattern, then we'll end up, with this. If this is not the low and this one is a 1, 2, 3, and this becomes a bigger correction here by itself, then we'll have a series of this going down again, which means we'll be here for another couple of years. But if this is the low, then there's a high probability that we will come and tag not just this top, but it will eventually come and tag this top. So this piece here might just be a correction in the making here. So they go up, they go down, go back up, come back down, maybe a few of these here, and that takes off to the upside. Well, more like this, but of a smaller version. And then we take off to the upside. So this would be an impulse, a correction, and this would probably have just a bit smaller correction in here before you go. There's a good chance that we'll stay here for a while. I don't think we have two sharp waves. That shouldn't be enough to leave. This one is pretty sharp to the downside. I don't think that's all the correction. So I don't see this as the one taking off. It's possible, but I don't see that. I think we'll probably still be here for a while before we go. So we'll be within that range. Go to the 4-hour. We can take the buy setups. There's nothing in it, no divergence, anything that says it can't go. Go to the 1-hour. You can take any buy you get. There was a buy this morning. That's gone already. You have to wait for another buy setup. Wait for another flag, a pullback or something like this, and then we can go with the buys. We might be getting some slight divergence here, but that's too early to tell. So it's mostly upside, and they could get all the way back to the top here. Even if we're going sideways, you could get back all the way to the top there. So even if you're going to make 1, 2, 3, and then go, we can get all the way back to the top. If in rare cases, this is all the consolidation we're going, we'll keep going up to the upside. So any buy setup you get, you can take the trade. Canadian also going up. We might get all the way to that top on the daily. I don't see this. I think we might have to go with just this piece as all the correction. That I don't know where we put this is yet. We'll have to come back and see if we're going to tag it with this one, or it's going to happen in the future with something like this and then go. But the longer this gets, the less that probable a bigger pattern forming here. This would be separate of its own with something in the past. So we're going up nicely. This was a buy setup for us, you remember, but I didn't think they were going to go that far. We'll probably go here. But if you're in the buy and you stayed with it, or if you keep buying, that's okay. If we get flags or flats, we can continue to buy. I think most likely you want a correction now, not just flag and flat. You want something like this or something like this. So buying a flag here might be a little dangerous. Wait for them to make a bigger correction. And then that would be a safer buy because it's going to have a bigger impulse to go with. Swiss yen, definitely a buy setup, and this one is already easy. You can see that. We needed to just tag the stop, come back here, and then that's a buy. You have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and this you can look for that buy. You might even get a sell setup here today, and then we'll go with the buy setup. That would be a simple flat, a very simple flat pattern. New Zealand yen. Okay, we're still in this sideways move, and I've been following the New Zealand yen for you guys for a period of time until it came here. We started to do the upside, but then I left it because it was in consolidation. It wasn't clear what it's going to do, and I don't want to give the general public something that's not clear. We did take trades in our trading room in this, but those were short-term trades. So now I can tell you, if we get a flag here or a correction here, this becomes a sell. Now, this might not be the one that drops like this because this was a deep correction. So we might get a drop. We might get a drop, then we get a deeper correction, another drop here, and then go. In some cases, they don't repeat exactly this pattern. They just drop. And one of that example might be what the CAD daily is doing right now, which is dropping very sharp on the C wave rather than giving us this correction on the daily in the CAD. We have very similar structure, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But the downside on the daily and the CAD is not making, at least it's at the bottom here, and we still haven't got this yet, which means we might not get it. Sometimes you don't get it. So if we get sell set up here today, we should go for it. Can this continue to go more up? Well, if this turns out to be a flat, yes, we'll have one more up. So if this doesn't just make a flag here and drop, which is what I expected to do, but instead make a flat, we'll get one more up. Now there's a difference between a flag and a flat. So we're looking for a flag or a small correction and a sell setup. Aussie yen, I think this one is easy. This is what we expected to do once we realize that this is not the running flat and that this is not going to go sharp. We figure out that that would be part of a bigger correction. And it turned out to be exactly that. So now you've got this, and you've got that. That is the most corrective part, as the B part of the structure. This should come down here today. If it goes a little higher, that's not a problem. I'm not looking for a buy. I'll wait for it to drop. It will drop, and then we'll get an upside. And after that, I think we're very likely going to get the downside. In one case, we didn't get that downside. I just showed you that pattern where I think it was a Swiss yen. Where the downside, this piece is not forming as yet. It could still come, but it's not there, is it? But you can see this one is much more flatter in that sense. The flatness of this pattern is much more better for it to go there. The Swiss yen was more like this, the running flat type. So let's see, this is a running flat too, but a slightly more standard one, right? More regular type of running flat. So we would look for downside today, we'd look for upside, we'd look for downside, and then we'd look for upside. Now, here's the thing. I'm making 1, 2, 3, 4 forecasts, like I did in Amazon. And we will leave these arrows here. It might change. If there's a change, I will tell you why we think there is a change, what changed in the pattern, what pattern we're looking for right now, and how that pattern should behave. But as of now, the forecast is based on the information that I have already. The only thing that will change this forecast is if that information changes, which means the piece that formed today changed the pattern that I'm looking for. As of now, if nothing changes in the pattern that we're looking for, this is how it should behave. Simple. We did this on the pound Swiss. We do it every single day. And if you follow me, you've been seeing that they work. It's not a guess on one direction. You can't guess 4 directions correctly. Come on. And as one person was trying to prove to me that news is what moved the market, all these are just fancy ideas in your head and good guesses, as he said. He said, you're just lucky you can guess well. In life, that's not so for me, but let's assume he's right. I can't do it over and over all the time for 4 different times or 5 different, even 10 times and more, right? 5, 6 pieces guessing directions is not easy to do. You can't get it right every time. It's impossible. Guess what is not factoring in all those moves? News event, because I don't know what news is going to be next week. And this thing might take more than a month to happen. It's not like I know what the news is going to be in Australia and in Japan. Well, I do have contact with them. They call me every now and then to tell me what's going to happen, but they haven't told me so far as yet. If you want to believe that, right? You don't have to know what the news is if events are going to be, because it's irrelevant to what the market is going to do. It might give you a little spike here and there, but that's factored in the patterns. That's already part of why they're doing what they're doing right now. I know that's hard for some people to get around their head. It's really, really hard. Believe me, it's not that easy to look at this and say, oh, well, I'll start believing these arrows now, right? They work. It's not about the arrows. It's very hard if you're a news-driven person to believe that, okay, this thing will go down from there and you don't necessarily have to have a news event, right? It's hard. It's tough for traders to change that and understand that, oh my God, this thing is actually working. You can actually see what they're doing, regardless of what they tell you that they want to do. I'm going to drive this message in hard into you until eventually most of you get it. The news is not going to help you to become a good trader, because they're not telling you what they're doing. They're telling you what they want you to know. And that's a big difference. That's a huge difference if you're a trader. If you're just listening to the news, well, that's entertainment, then it's good. It's okay. For entertainment's sake, that's okay. But for trading, it's useless. So do we have a sell set up right now? We had one, and now they're pulling back. So we might be looking at a running flat in the making. I think there's a possibility we're looking at that running flat. My traders already know what to do, and we'll be looking for this sell setup. If that's a running flat, that would be a good sell. If it goes higher, we'll relook at it to see whether there's one more up and then the downside. That downside is coming, right? And this is where the guy said, you can't say you know what it's going to do. I don't know what this market is going to do. I know what this pattern is going to do if it behaves like this and it stays as this pattern. And that's the difference. It's not that I said I know where the market is going. I'm saying I know what this pattern will do if it stays as that pattern. And I know how to take advantage of that. And that's the difference. If this thing goes up and it's not the pattern that I think it's going to make, it's not a small running flat, then that's okay. I will not be in the trade. But then I'll look from here for another sell setup because I know what this pattern does. And can this pattern break the top here and then come down? Yeah, I know that also. And that's the strength of the knowledge of understanding the patterns, because you know every bits and piece that it could do. And when it does that, you look for the other part. As soon as you get a setup that says, good, the other part is ready to go, you go for it. If you don't get a setup, that's it. You just wait for the next piece to happen. And then he said, okay, well, now we see this. That was a contracting flat in the middle here, right? Could this be a contracting flat and we're totally going up? You see what I'm showing you another version. Is it possible? Yes, we never make that forecast. That is very much possible, and this will take off. But that is not a forecast that I will make, because then you will see contracting flats every single where. You could have taken this to be a contracting flat, and that would be incorrect. So we don't forecast contracting flats for that reason. They're confirmed hindsight. It's not something you should forecast. You're going to get yourself in trouble. All right? So let's see if we get the trade today. Aussie, New Zealand, upside, but it's up to you if you want to trade it. It's going up and it will go up. It will break that up also. And you have a buy setup here. The problem with this is it moves really, really slow. Remember when this was coming down and we said you can sell that. Take a while to go. Took quite a long time. So this is going to go up. And again here, I think we might have got a contracting flat in there, because this is more equivalent to this piece. So we're looking for the break of the top. This would likely happen. There's a high probability of that happening, but there's a high probability it's going to happen like this, which means it's going to go very, 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 very slow to the upside. Take you a hell of a long time to get anything. Aussie Swiss, we're still in the sideways. And the more they correct here, the more it becomes complicated. This is all going to be the B part, and we still have 2 sharp impulses to complete, which means we've got to go up back and we've got to come down back, and then we'll go. So the longer they stay in here, we'll just leave it and see, do we start getting that upside from this point? It's possible you could be looking for the upside starting here, but that will not be this impulse, because that impulse has to be a sharp one. What this is going to be a more complex flat pattern if we go here, right? That will just give you a more complex flat pattern, and now you have to do this part, you have to do that part, You have to come back here. You have to go back there. You have to come back here, and then you can go. The more complex it becomes, the more patterns you get in here. So are we trying to go up? Let's go into 1 hour and see. Looks like we're trying to go up, and we might have a buy setup here right now. Which means if this goes up, you go for the trade. If it drops one lower, no problem. You just do this and you wait for the turn to the upside, because I'm looking at this as a flat here. I think we've got a 1, 2, 3, and it's all within this. So we're expecting to come back to this stop, even if we break that low. So we put a line here. The only difference between that is the 2 different type of patterns you'll see. So for me, if this comes and break the low here, great. We try to get it this trade. If they don't break the low, we try to get them to break the top. Well, we try to trade it as if it is going to break the top, and then we would look for the downside, and then we look for the upside, and then we look for the downside, because all that is factored in already in a pattern that we know. All right, Aussie CAD. Let's see what this is doing. It's making a bigger one. I thought this would probably be a running flat, but it's making more of a 1, 2, 3 like this, 1, 2, 3. So it's still possible running flat, just with a 1, 2, 3 corrections in the middle. This one had 1, 2, 3. We thought that would be 1, but it's giving you 3 pieces. Let's see if we can get a breakout of that. The sell setup, I'll be very cautious of the sell setup right now. We do have divergence. So if I'm going to go for a sell here, it has to be more of a correction here before I go for the sell, not a flag. So go here, you're coming down. Pretty much like this previous one. 1, 2, 3, we're coming down there. Let's see in the 1 hour what we have. Do we have divergence on the lower time frame? Yep, we do. So that means you could still get a few more drops here to the downside, but eventually they're going to go up, because this might be the 1, 2, 3 for upside. So you can take short trades here, short sells as you get them. Any flag or correction is a sell, but it could be the last impulse down, which means you take your profit off and look for the turning point, because between all of this and this, we're getting some divergence here. Internally, inside of this move, you don't have divergences yet, but all that means is you need a correction here. One more drop and you can see divergence. EuroCAD, more downside. We're making a bigger flat here. We thought this would be the start of the upside when it was going very aggressively. It didn't. Coming down back. I think we might or might not break the low, but then we're going to do something like this, which means we're going to be in a flat pattern here for a while. One more down. After that, put it in the 4 hour. We're still in this big sideways move. That has not changed. This one didn't go up like we thought it would do, so that's okay. If you make another big flat here, if they actually turn out to make a big flat here, we're going to drop one more, and then we'll look for that. So we'll trade inside here, and we'll trade that like we did in this piece when we traded inside of that one, right? So you can see the sell setups that were there. Saw this sell setup, you saw this sell setup. So what we're going to look for is if this might give you a sell here today, but then look for this piece up, which is something more like this. This is sharp. So it means this one might be very corrective. Get another sharp one, and then one more like this before you complete that pattern for downside. If this goes and break the low and turn, that is even better, because then there's a good chance you may just look at this as all a correction. It's too small, but it's possible. Euro Swiss did what we wanted it to do, give you a very similar structure like this one, but slightly varied. You can see this one is a little short. We thought this would come a little lower, but we weren't trading it. We were just waiting for it to finish, and then you get that, which is slightly smaller than this as well, but then you get a drop, which means you get a sell. If you didn't get the sell and you get this, now you definitely look for the buy, right? Because the buy is an impulsive move to the upside. So go to the 1 hour, and you're actually getting a buy setup here, which makes this amazing because the pattern is almost perfect. Right? You just want this correction to finish, and if it goes, you get the trade, right? This could be an easy trade setup. You just need this to consolidate here for a while. Don't go back to the low. It shouldn't go back. If it goes back to that low, you cancel the order. And then we're looking for this trade up. How aggressive it could go? Well, if you look at the piece we were expecting to happen, which would be first this piece, it went up pretty aggressive. It didn't do this. That's for sure. We didn't do this, right? So this move up was very aggressive, and that's what I think we could get, a very aggressive move going up here. breaking the top or coming close to the top. So this is a good trade now. I think we should keep our eyes on that for a buy here. Euro yen, it did go up finally. And now there's one chance that it could be this running flat because this one is bigger. This correction is bigger in here, which means we could come back here and then go. Or we already have a running flat here. And that means this will just continue to go. So which one it is and how we'll trade it, right? Now this running flat could also be part of this one. There are a number of waves there that could allow that running flat, which means I think this is the bigger one that is more likely to happen because also this consolidation is much bigger than this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come back here and then do it. Let's see what we have. Go to the 1 hour. It's easy. If you get a correction here, we'll look for a sell, right? If this goes back up to the top, wait for it to do something like this and then look for the buy. I'm more inclined to believe we'll get the sell because the sell is going to come faster than the buy as well. So we could probably see a sell setup happening here very soon. Euro New Zealand, we're in a big sideways. It's going to go one more up. I think we're going up right now. Question is whether this is going to go back to this stop or not. So we have this move down, we have that move up, we have this move down, and then it starts to consolidate here. We have this consolidation. We haven't broken the low here. So without breaking the low, it's hard for them to see this going back up, but I can see this coming to this level and then probably dropping. Break the low and then go back up. If we do that, we're going to get this running flat, which means we'll have to come back down and then we can go. So the longer they stay like this here in this level, the higher the probability that the trade will be a trade to the upside because this becomes the impulse. This here becomes the impulse in the move. So if we go up a little here, drop to this level, go back there, come back here, that becomes a flat for upside. Let's see what it does. That's the forecast for now. It's getting very complex, but that's the forecast for now. So this trade here, if you're buying it, you have to buy it with caution. You can see that. Right? That once we break this top, there's a chance we're going to drop. This looks more like a flat. It's possible they can go back up, but without breaking this low, it's going to complicate the pattern. It's going to make it very complex. So I don't think we're going to get to the top there, but I think once we break this top, we start to look for sell setups. Euro pound, it's going to consolidate more. Better to stay out of it for now. We're going to consolidate more here, and then we'll look for the buy setup. Euros, we're consolidating here already. So I think even if we break that top, we have to come back here. It's probably going to break the top, make a flat in the middle here. Drop back here, give you this sharp one. That's another one. So you're going to get another one here. And then you go back up. That will complete this flat. After which we'll definitely have to go down. Right? We're making a big flat in the middle for downside, very similar to what the Euro New Zealand is doing right now. Right? So this piece might go back up or it might not. We can look for a sell setup from here or a sell setup from the top there. And that will complete this flat. Pretty much similar to this one. We actually got that one very nice and we got this one very good. So let's see if we get this one. We can look for the sell first and then we'll look for the buy on this one. And after that, we'll look for the downside, which would be this one. And if you get a big flat, especially if it's a running flat here, you're going to go up more. Right? So that depends on whether or not that will be a running flat at the top there. We're still in the middle of this consolidation. All right, so if this turns out to be the big flat at the top here, this piece with this coming here, going back there, complete this one, come down here. That becomes a big flat, and then you still have this and this and this to do. And then this to do. And then this one to do. This will become the biggest flat. So you would have to go 1, 2, 3, come back here, go back there, and then you can go down. You'll be here for a long time. Consolidating, going sideways, right? So, but it's tradable because the range is very huge. So you can trade within the range. You can trade it up here, you can trade it down there, you can trade it back up, and we've been doing that, making very good trades. Pound New Zealand, very similar. We have this one and we have this one. We broke the low here, so this is probably going to go up a little more. You can see I already have a pattern here. How high this is going to go is a question. It could come back all of this distance, or we could just stop short here and make a deeper correction. So this would become a bigger flat pattern and then one more up. After which we're definitely going to go down because we're consolidating at the lower range for downside. This is the bigger consolidation. See this? This here is the bigger consolidation. And we're consolidating in this level here. So even if this goes up a little, come back here, go back there, we'll have a running flat here. And that would be downside. So we're just completing a bigger flat pattern here to go down. It's incomplete as it stands right now. I'll give you an example of that bigger flat. Here is a good example of one. See this bigger one here for downside? You can go and find a whole lot of them like that, where you find a big correction. Go back here. Here's a good example of that. A big correction here for upside. So we're just making one of that here right now for downside because this correction is over. That is over. This is just a correction to drop. Go to the 1 hour. The trade right now is to the upside, but I'll be very careful. You can see it already here. Let me show you in 15 minutes. See, it's already drawn up there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you're getting this to go up. Once it breaks the top, look for the sell setup. Now here's a trade you can go in, but it's a short one. The risk to reward is not that amazing, but it's not a bad trade. I'm not buying it. I saw that this morning, but I'm not buying that one. I want the one, either the big one to the downside or the big one to the upside, because that one risk to reward is very small. Pancad, a little more down, the magic happens, right? So here's another one that I was showing you like Amazon. And you can go back and track this as well. All those arrows were there, but they were a little different. I didn't have them by color. We just had this up, we had this down. And remember I told you that one is going to happen. Again, it's not because I know where the market is going to go. I'm not insisting I know. I'm telling you, I know how these patterns behave. That's a huge difference. And that's the edge in the market, is that if you know how the patterns behave and they're going to go that way, you can trade them. We traded that down. We traded a little bit in here. It didn't work well. It didn't go break-even trades, 2 or 3 break-even trades. And then we were waiting for a sell from the top there, which by my fault, we missed it. We missed this one in the trading. I missed it. A few of my traders got it. And then we get that one, and then we started to get it from here going down. So there might be another drop here. And then we start looking for that buy setup. So let's go through this and let me show you what we're looking at. And you decide for yourself whether you would like to do that. So what we're saying is that we got that and we got this because we forecast those, right? They were happening perfectly after we got that correction. And now I'm telling you that based on this pattern, what we understand about these patterns, it might not break this low because we're looking at a running flat pattern. It could break the low, become an expanding flat, but that is rare. That's not the most common pattern. Most common is running flat. That this at some point, once this drop a little more, it's going to turn and give you a wave back to the top there. Here is the good thing about it. The wave to the upside is much sharper than the wave to the downside because these first two waves are very sharp. So there's a good chance you're going to have a very sharp wave going up and a very sharp wave coming down. Question is, can you trade it? Are you willing to look for a buy setup here to go back to the top? That's it. That's all the question for you, because now you will track it and you will see. So far, we got this one, which is very good, and we got that one. We're 2-0. We're winning 2-0, right? Let's see if we get that. That would be 3-0, and then we'll see if we get this 4-0. Because we're winning so far. The market behaves a specific way. It might look random. These are very random moves if you don't know what to look for. If you just take everything out of that chart and you look at it, it's a mess. It's random. It's crazy. People look at that and say, those are random moves. You cannot see what it's going to do. You don't know what it's going to do next. You can't figure out what it's going to do. And I'm saying, no, there's an order to the randomness. Just like there was an order here to the randomness. There's an order to this randomness. It's very orderly moving, although you see it as random. Right? So if you start to dig deep into it and you start figuring out the order to it, then it's easy to take advantage of that. That's your edge in the market. Pang Yen, we're still going sideways. We thought this would drop. We thought this piece here would drop. It didn't. It go back up. It came, and now it's making a bigger consolidation. So we'll wait to see if we get one more up. The downside is going to happen, but it didn't happen at this one. And I don't think it's going to happen in that one anymore because this turned out to be more of a flat here right now. Right? And I don't know why we have a flat here and we have another flat here. That's kind of strange. It doesn't happen like that often. Could this be a bigger correction for downside? Could this turn out to be more of a I don't think it's very complex to look at 1, 2, 3, 4. This is not that corrective, so I wouldn't look at it that way. We could make an assumption that this is making a flat of its own here too. If we get a sell setup, we'll go for that. But I think what is developing is becoming a complex pattern in here. And if you make a complex pattern in here, the chances are you're going to make a new high before you fall. All right, just make a new high before you fall. So for the single trade today, we sold this. I sold it twice and took break even. My traders sold it 3 times to break even because it wasn't going. It looked like it went, but if you're trading it live, it's just not going anywhere. So we end up just taking break evens off the trades because if it's not going, you're not staying with the trade. An impulse should go. And then we have this. So today, I think we might see this going up back a little. You're making a flag. We'll see if we get a buy to break that up or stay within this sideways. I don't think it's this piece is the one going big to the upside. I still think we'll consolidate here for a while. Pangos. More of a sideways move, and this is a corrective part in it, so I think this will probably do this. We're still expecting this to go up back there. Some kind of a bigger corrective structure will eventually form here. And it's not going anywhere. You'll go sideways for a long time. I think we might stay here sideways for a while, after which we could see a drop and then upside. Right. We're still in this big consolidation. See that? Still in that big one. So eventually you're going to come down and then go back up. So the consolidation is right now in here, like this piece, see? And then we're going to drop like that, finish off this piece here. As you can see, the drop wasn't smooth either. We should go back up for this one, complete that pattern, and then look for a drop. Pound Swiss. Looks like we're going to go slightly more down. We're making a more complex pattern right now. I think that's a big expanding flat. We've got this. This might just go a little more. We broke the low already. They don't have to, but we can go with a 1, 2, 3. Maybe go back up for another 1, 2, 3. This pattern will become much bigger, much more complex. I don't think it's still a running flat or an expanding flat now, because we haven't broken the lows yet now. Well, not as yet. If we break the low, it could possibly be an expanding flat for upside. So let's see. Right now, today, there's no trade set up here that I see. It's probably going to consolidate here and give you a drop. If the sell is not a big trade, it's limited to the downside, but the upside has more potential. So if we get a buy setup, we'll go for it. The sell setup, we'll probably consider another trade, another Swiss trade or another pound trade. Right? The pound CAD would be a better sell than this. New Zealand Swiss. Okay, so you're getting this piece now. And that means this would probably have to go back up somewhat. You have a 1, a 2, and a 3 in this impulse. So you get this here, come maybe a little more down, and then you're looking for that trade up. All right, so this could probably drop a little more. We broke the low already. It doesn't have to, but it could. And then we're looking for a buy setup. We can put an entry here if this goes. If it doesn't go, drop lower, wait for a correction, put an entry for the upside. All right, we're looking for the upside in this move. Can they actually go much lower than this? Possible, but I don't see that happening because we're just going to end up with a big complex pattern in here, I think, most likely. If this is already not the impulse, right? This is already making 1, 1, 2, 3. So even if this comes back here, what you get is a big flat, a big correction. So it's a correction in a correction, which means we're going to be here a long time. If you got a corrective structure down and this is not going up, but it's making another corrective, what you have is a bigger correction in the making, elements of a bigger correction forming. New Zealand CAD. Let's see where we are on the 4-hour and daily. We could be heading downside back. It's possible. They could be going down much lower. Let's see this. At least we're going to go lower than this. So there's a sell setup forming here, which means if you get a flag here, you can go for this trade to break the low. All right, at least there's one more impulse down. And you have a flag forming there. You're getting a correction forming here. And then we can go for the downside. Cat Swiss. Okay, this one is more of a channel or something like that, slow one. So I still think it could possibly be running flat and a little more upside. So stay away from this. It's just going sideways. We're not going to go, we might get all the way to the top here. I can see them pulling back here, making a running flat, going back up to the top there, but then come back down. So we might be looking at a big flat there. Let me see in the 4-hour what it looks like. It could be a big flat at the top here. Right, so this correction was more of a 1, 2, 3 down, but this is also going to be a 1, 2, 3, but not similar. So this one was 1, 2, 3. So this could be 1, 2, 3, but not, not coming deep enough, just something like this, more flat, and then continuation to the upside. Okay, so this is a running flat in the making. I think we're going to see a sell setup here today, just to complete this flat, and then one more up. So you can get a sell setup here, and then you can look for the buy setup. XPT, it came down. We were trying to sell it. This one is very difficult to trade. You can see the way it comes down. It didn't come down very aggressively. And we looked at the pattern and we make an assumption. We made an assumption that this thing could go back up here. Right, that this might be here for a while more, that this too might be a flat in the making. Go back up there, make another flat, come back, go back, and then come. So the downside might not be ready as yet, although it looks like it's going. So the best way to trade this would be let it drop again, make a flag or correction, and then look for this drop to break the low. Or if it stays there and do this, we'll try to see if we can get another sell from the top. This wasn't an easy one to trade. It's just a lot of pullbacks and deep. You get break even if you took the trade. UK oil looking for a sell setup. I think you can see that already. Right, we broke the top. There was a sell setup there. On Friday, some of my traders took that trade. And there was a sell setup here. So we're looking for this trade. And very likely you could get a breakout today. See that? You have an impulse. You have a correction. And this could break out today. So my traders, you can start looking for that trade. The possibilities we can break straight through that thing. 4-hour and 1-hour. 1-hour trade, there was a sell there this morning. I hope some of my traders got it. I just sell setup there this morning. There was a sell setup on Friday. We had a contracting flat in here. That was a sell on Friday. This is a sell today. And let's see what happens when it drops to the low. This could be ready to go. We don't have to have another correction in there. This could be all to it. And this here could be all to it, right? So you have a move up, you got a correction, you got a move up, you get a correction, you got another move up, and you could be dropping. If it doesn't drop, it will stop short somewhere in this area. Probably stop somewhere here and make a new high. But it's coming down very impulsively. Impulsiveness of it tells me it might just go through. US oil, same thing. Similar structure, similar pattern. It's a correction, impulse and a correction. We get one more downside. Expecting one more downside. If not this one, go back up, make a new high. The next one should drop. And natural gas. So we're probably going to be stuck in this sideways because we didn't break the top, we didn't break the low. So we will probably be in here for a while. Eventually either break the top and it low or just the low and then upside. So we're probably making a big sideways move here for more upside, but we're stuck in the sideways. See? We're stuck in the sideways. And this didn't break the low, so we can't assume that this is going to go up. Which means we'll probably be in this for a while and then break the low and then go. If you're going to trade it, you have to be very cautious on both sides. Here's 30. It's looking like a big correction. I think that is easy to see, and that correction should go up, right? If this is a big correction, that should go up eventually. 1 hour. Yep, look for the upside. Eventually look for the upside of that thing. This one's slightly more downside and then upside also. You have this flat in the middle. 1, 1, 2, 3 here. Get that. You got this correction. I think we're going to see a drop here today. There's a flat there, so we could see this drop a little and then upside. This is more of a flat pattern forming here. So slightly downside possible. Yep, you already have a flat here. You can already see that. So this might just do this and you can see a drop here and then upside. The drop is not a big one. It's just one move down and then upside. S&P 500, you might come back. I think we're a good chance that you're going to get this as a flat. You already have this piece for this one. So you kind of have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You could already make an argument for that one up there. And now you're looking for this one down. So yep, you could make a slightly move down here. We broke the top, so that's a running flat. Probably come back this much and then upside. So we can make an argument for running flat there and then upside. And DAX, we've been trading this very well. So we got this trade here, which is an easy one on Friday. And then we got this one from the top here. I'm that sell, and I'm still in that sell at break even, right? The reason I'm selling this, I don't normally trade these, but the reason I'm selling this is because of the potential to the downside. I think you can already see it. If I just do this, you can see what I'm looking at, right? There's a huge potential of the trade to the downside. Even if we decide that we're coming just for a correction, or if we decide we're reversing this entire thing. If you look at this as the correction, let's say you do that, right? This is the up move. This is a 1, 2, 3 in here, and that is the bigger correction. Then potentially this thing could be dropping very big. Or we're just making another correction there. We're just making another correction in here and then go. Either way, it's a good trade because you're the very, very top of it. That's a weekly chart and we're at the very top of it. And then you can go to the 4 hour and you're at the very top of it. And then you can go to the 1 hour and that's the very, very top of it. That's a sharp reversal and you're getting a flat pattern. So I think this one is going to go lower. There's a very good chance it's going to go lower. I don't think this is the bigger flat we're going to see. I think this is the flat. We just made a pullback and we're going to drop. You can still get chances of getting into this on any flag or correction that you have. AU200, this should go a little more up. It's pulling back, but I would not be careful of this sell because we haven't broken that up. We need to break the top before we come down. Nifty. Okay, finally you're getting a pattern. So you got this and you got this. Friday I showed my trade this in the trading room and I said, you might trade it down to this low, but then be careful because you want that trade back up to the top. And that's a clear trade to the upside. Tesla, one more up in the correction. I think it's going to go. This came down on Friday, but then it started to pull back. So you can see this here. You can see this. You can probably go one more there. And then we'd look for the downside. Right? How high this is going to go. I don't think it's going to go that high. And then we'd look for the downside, which is a corrective structure, by the way, for more upside. Right? Once you finish that corrective structure, you're going to end up going back up. Amazon, I showed you already. By the way, looking for a sell setup on Amazon here now. 1 second, guys. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. I do have a cold, but I managed to mute in time, so let's go. Amazon, we're looking for a sell setup here today. Let's see if we get it. SLR, it's correcting. It could fall more. You may want them to break out of this trend line first before you go for the bigger sell. If they break to the upside, either way, this should be a big trade, which means if this goes up here, you can go for the buy because this looks very correcting. But if by chance they drop deeper, wait for a flag here and then sell this to break that low. It's probably going to go quite a while if you get the sell from under the lower. So here, going back. A flag, any flag in any direction would work. BA Finance, it's more upside. You're getting a correction here. And then you get one more up. Be careful because this was a deep correction. When they make such a correction, they tend not to go very far after that. Reliance, like I said on Friday, and I told my traders, I don't know if Monday this was going up, but I think on Friday, don't ignore that deep one because that deep one might just be a running flat, and we're looking for the sell. So one more downside, at least it has to break the lows, and then we're going to look for upside. This is a big correction. I think it is a big correction because we're very much at the top, so I can see this coming here and then probably starting this move to the upside. PayPal also correcting. Very likely this might give you a little more up, and then we're looking for downside, which might end up being a correction too for upside. Let me go very quick. Bitcoin. Yep, magic do works, right? See? They do come back with the sharp one. Come back, and now you're upside. I think from here there was a buy, and there's another buy here. It's going to break the top again. And once it does that, better be careful. Again, I don't know if any one of you listen to the end of this, or those who will be trading cryptocurrency again will just come to watch this cryptocurrency piece. I hope you're hearing me correctly. This thing is going to drop. Not because I know that it's going to drop, but because that's how they behave, right? They make corrections, they drop. They make impulses, they drop. So this one dropped, this one will drop. And it's going to drop really, really hard. The higher they go, the bigger the drop becomes. This might be your final impulse up. That might very well be your final impulse to the upside. Now, you don't want to be the last person to be out of this. The whole concept of all cryptocurrencies is that there are more people willing to pay higher price for it. That's the only thing. It doesn't produce, it doesn't create money, right? It doesn't create value. It's not like cryptocurrency. It's not like Ford, they're making, they're making cars, or even Apple, they're making phones, they're making something. They're not creating anything. So the only thing that is moving this up is the willingness of somebody else to buy it at a higher price than you bought it. At some point, what if at some point people decide, I've got a high enough price, I'm selling. And if a critical mass of people or someone with a huge volume holding decide that this is his chance to sell and take profit, the only time you can say you make money in crypto is if you actually sell the crypto you bought. That's the only way. The crypto, if you hold it, it doesn't create value for you, right? Like if you buy a car, you can make money in the car even if you don't sell it back. You drive around, you can rent it, you can do so much things with it. It will create money. It has value. It will create money. This doesn't have any value. It's not creating anything. It's only worth what people are willing to pay for it. That's all. If at some stage, someone with a huge sum or a vast amount of people with big sums decide that they are going to be out of this, you will be surprised where it's going to go. Because you can't take yours and do anything with it but sell it. Right? You might say, well, I can go shopping with it. Not true. You can do that. You can probably go shopping now, but as soon as it starts to fall, guess what? Most of those companies would say, we're not accepting Bitcoin anymore. Right? You can imagine Starbucks watching this thing dropping from 70,000 to 50,000. They'll say, you know what? We're not taking Bitcoin today. We probably have to stop this nonsense. We're not going to wait for it to go back to 5,000 or 3,000 or 2,000. We don't want to take that amount of losses. They'll come to their sense very, very quick and say, you know what? Hey, Bitcoin not accepted today. Pay cash. We want cash. So you can make money if you exit before everyone else, or at least not be the last person to exit. That's when you book your profit and you can say, okay, I've made my sum of money in it. If you don't do that, you might be in for a big surprise. Now, people might say it's going to a million. I don't care. It's wave analysis. It doesn't go in a straight line. See, this wave happened. It happened because we looked at one piece of it and we said, you know what? I don't think this thing has to come back for that. It came back. Perfect. It's going to go up. I'm telling you, it's going to go up. There's a high probability that this thing continues to go like this after this small one. How high? Well, we can track this piece for you and tell you on a regular basis how high when we think it's going to turn and all of that. And you can get advantage. I even told my traders on Friday and during the thing, you can buy this, you can buy this, you can buy until it breaks the stop. Once it breaks the top, that qualifies it for a turning point. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to turn there, but that qualifies for the turning point. You will have to look into this to decide when that is turning. and decide when to bail out. That choice is yours. XRP, same thing, came down, going back up. We did get this correction, not where we wanted it, but it eventually came, this one. Remember I said we're going to get this back. We thought it's going to just break this top and then come back here. They went a little higher. They did come back. You can put it as a running flat. It's pretty normal. They're going to break the top. And this could go more. I think this could go break the previous top because we haven't broken the previous top as yet. We still have to break it. So this could still go break the top. This would be a perfect running flat here. And this could go break the top. We had running flats like that in the past. Yep, you could see we had one here. No, I think we had one here, and then we had this one here. Two running flats there. So pretty normal. You get that, and then it can go break the top. So this could go a little higher. I could see this possible going higher, but let's see how more corrective it could get. I don't know. Right now they're making a flat here. You can see that this is probably going to come down a little and then go. It's right now a sell setup. Dot still up. This also gives us the flat. Same thing. It gives you the flat to see the pattern. Patterns are clear. They happen. You should break that top by the way these patterns behave. Remember, we got that. We got this. Well, this should go back and break the top. All of them give us that corrective structure, right? This one is the only one. We have this, but it's a little too short. This is the only one that I don't like for the correction. It could be that is all the correction. It's just a little too short. Remember, I had the forecast that they should come back to about this level, which is the equivalent of this. They didn't come that much, and they really don't have to go that much. But I'm looking at this piece here, and I'll tell you right now with what I see here is that this is more of a corrective structure within the pattern, something like this. So even if we make a new high, we're still going to drop. We haven't got that drop as yet. What we're getting is corrections for more upside. So I can see this making a new high, but then I think we're going to drop. So I'll be careful of this. ETH, upside, we've got it. Perfect. See, they did the pullback, and now they're going. And how high this can go? Well, let's see. It's more. It's already broken the top. So at this point, anytime it can turn. Anytime. I don't think we're about to end it because we don't have divergence. I think if we get another correction, we'll still continue to go. So you can buy. This is still going. Dash. This is now starting the upside, which means that there's more to go. And on the bigger picture, I think there's a lot more to go. Right. Yep, we still haven't gotten back to that top. If that top is real, right? If this was real, then there's a good chance you could work your way up to that top. So this one has potential. So this hasn't gone there yet. This one is okay too. You can see that you're getting, but one of my traders trading this, and he's been making quite a lot in it. And you can see that this could still go. There's still potential here to the upside. He's trading these three, and he said we should put them on because he's been making good cash on them. Potentially they're going. They're using wave analysis. Look at the 4 hour. You've got a buy setup forming here now. I mean, he's trading him sometime in these smaller moves and making money. So let's see. And this one, potentially upside as well. You just completed the flat. You got a 1, got a 2, you got a 3. This could drop one more. See, this is more of a 3-wave structure. So I think this could drop one more and then start to look for the upside. It doesn't have to, but it could drop one more and then go back up. So if you get buy setups, you take it. If it drops, you wait for it to drop and then start to look for the buy. This, pretty much the same thing. This is already going up, right? You got this one. You got 1, 2, 3. You got this down. And now you're going up. This one's just moved a little. It should be like this. This one should be upside. And this, you got a big one here. That's a big running flat. And this is upside. This one should go more, right? Let's go. ADA. This is the only one I think is not ready to go, which means they should come here, but there's a chance they're going to do this before they go. Because this piece has a 1, 2. Then you get the 1, 2, 3. So you need a 1, 2 back here and then go. So this one might not be ready to go. This one might not be ready for the up movers yet. It's going up. It's going to go a little more, but the big move is not there yet. So some of them still have potentials in them for trading purposes. And that's just for it, trading purposes. And I hope you can make money out of it. I hope you're not the last person to come out. That's my only hope. And I wish you all the best in that. Don't be the last person to come out. You guys have a great week ahead of you. Like I said, we will randomly go live on YouTube every now and then. You have to set up your notification. If you're one of the 23,000 people following me, not all of you have your notification set. Set it to notify you when we go on YouTube live with the trading room. We'll try to do that at least 2 or 3 times this week and next week, and then that will be it. I just want to give you guys a view as to what we do in there because, you ask for it, so I'll show you, and then we'll just stop doing it because it's internal work, right? So take care. Have a good week ahead of you. Trade with care. Be cautious. It's better to be safe and secure than to regret. So if you don't like a trade, if you don't understand it, don't take it. Trade with what you know, right? All of you take care. Have a great week ahead of you.